Hi everyone, Steven here. Welcome to the channel. In my previous videos on the floor pan, I've actually had some people asking me about what my welder settings was. So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. So stick around and we'll see you soon. Thanks everybody for sticking around. What we're going to do in this video is talk a little bit about the settings of my welder. And I can just run over and just show you the settings pretty quickly, if you want to. But what I decided to do is just explain a couple things. So here's a piece of the floor pan that I actually welded in. I've got my, it's kind of hard for me to do this with two hands, but I've got my little gauge here to measure the thickness of this. Now, I measured the thickness. If I kind of zoom in a bit, you can probably see some of the, let's flip that right side up. Here we go. So hopefully you can actually see that. There we go. So you slide the piece of metal in and it'll tell you the gauge, the thickness of the gauges. Now I've already done that. I can't do that with one hand, but I've already done it. And I found that this piece of metal here is somewhere between 18 and 18 gauge. Now I know the floor itself is probably, maybe a little thicker or maybe the same. I didn't measure it, to be honest with you. But anyhow, so this is where kind of our starting point, right? So when I look at my welder here, let's drag this out. So let's get that out here. So first of all, this is an MP140 MP. I bought this at Canadian Tire. Again, I'm Canadian, so we have a Canadian Tire up here. Guess what? They sell tires and other stuff. So I bought this Lincoln welder off of them. I'm sure this is available in the States and probably other countries, or a variant of it is. And you have various dials over here. You have the wire speed dial. You basically have the power, or how much power you want to apply to it. This, as I mentioned before, is wire, stick, and TIG. Typically, I use the wire feed. And you actually can see this kind of hanging down here. Probably not a good idea to have it hanging on the ground. Let's put that away, right? So where do you kind of know where to start? Now, there's tons of YouTube videos out there on how to weld and welding. This is just a brief thing just on my particular setup. So first of all, I am using gas over here. So there is I'm actually just not doing it without gas. Let's say, come here, let's go. And then on the side, I'll flip this open. My gas I'm using over here, by the way, is argon. And then when we look over here at the panel, most of the times your welder is going to have some kind of panel very similar to this, telling you how to feed it in and all that wonderful stuff. But when we look here, so right over here, I'm using argon mix. And you see at the top here is the gauge, right? So it says 18 gauge right there. So I'm between kind of an 18 and a 20, right? So you'll notice the wire speed and the power over here. Now, this is my argon mix I'm using. So they're saying for 25 thou wire, mine's 20. Let's zoom in on that. You see it's 23 thou. I'm not sure why they say 25, but anyways. And I usually buy the larger spools of the wire instead of the small ones because it's more economical, to be honest with you, right? But you can actually see the settings over here. It says for the 18 gauge, if I come into there and the 18 gauge, it's telling me basically between a E5 and a D4, between an 18 and a 20. And with a 30 gauge, well, anyways, let's just look at a 25 thou. So it says between D4 and E5. And now this is going to vary from one welder to another, to be honest with you, right? So if you actually look at my settings, I've actually got it set at D5, right? And I found for me, that works okay, all right? I find if you've got this cranked up too high, the wire pushes out too fast and it tries to push through your welds and stuff. Obviously, if you got this set too high too, you can blow through your metal, right? but sometimes you may want to have this set a little higher so you're not there as long. So usually like a lower temperature, you got to sit there longer, potentially warp the metal more, right? So I found that this setting for the floor pan worked perfectly fine for me. That's what I found. When I get into the trunk, I'm probably going to leave the settings at the same. And when I get to the quarters, we'll deal with it then, but I'm thinking it'll probably be the same settings on that. Obviously, if I was welding thicker metal or whatever the case may be, I would be adjusting those, and I would be basically adjusting it on the chart from here, right? Again, you probably hear my furnace kicking in and out. It is springtime where I am right now, and I'm in the garage, so I have the heat going. Always follow the recommendations and safety protocols of the manufacturer's welder. So be careful of that. You don't want this thing plugged in and reaching inside here and touching this, because this is 110 volt welders. There's 220 volt welders out there. You know, you don't want to be messing with that. If you don't know what you're doing, don't play with it. Simple as that. But again, I'm sure most of you that have this will exercise some kind of common sense. But again, always follow the manufacturer's recommendation. I'm just going to close this down. And like I said, I have mine unplugged. I don't leave it plugged in. I don't like leaving things plugged in unless I really, really have to. Because you never know. I'm located up north. I get a lot of thunderstorms, especially in the spring and summer. And you can get a power surge and anything's plugged in, goodbye, it gets cooked, right? So, and I have surge protectors and all that stuff. But anyways, that's basically it, folks, for the video. Again, when you're there's lots of, welding videos out there. I'm not going to teach you how to weld, folks. I'm pretty good at it. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. And I won't say I'm the best, and I won't say I'm the worst either, right? But that's it. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the video, or if you found it useful, again, hit that like button. And if you didn't, well, you know what to do there. And the hose over there moved. If you're looking for more content on this channel, again, leave comments down below if it's something you want to see or do. But the bulk of it's mainly on this Mustang, as I mentioned. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, car shows, product reviews, all that kind of stuff, again, subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.